Have you ever been told you're not good enough by the people who are supposed to love you the most? Not because you did anything wrong, but because your life doesn't fit into their perfect image. That's how my Thanksgiving started. 5 days before the holiday, my phone rang. It was my mother, in that same voice I'd known since childhood, warm on the surface, but icy underneath. "Olivia," she said, "we need to talk about Thanksgiving." I set down the grading pen I'd been using to mark essays on women's suffrage. I had just finished praising a student's brilliant analysis of labor strikes during the 1920s, and the irony wasn't lost on me. Here I was, celebrating the dignity of ordinary work, while my family was about to remind me exactly how insignificant mine seemed to them. "What about it?" I asked, keeping my voice steady. My mother's pause was deliberate, like a predator circling its prey. "Sophia is bringing her fiancé, Andrew." She emphasized the name as if saying it aloud would make it shine brighter than our family could ever be. Andrew Whitman, heir to a multi-billion-dollar investment empire, the kind of man who belonged in glossy magazines and private country clubs. And, well, she thinks it might be better if you didn't attend this year. I blinked. My chest tightened, but I forced the words out calmly. "I understand." It wasn't that simple. My teaching salary, modest and earned through hard work and years of extra shifts, was apparently too humiliating to be seen next to the glitter of Andrew Whitman's world. My mother explained it in terms of subtle cruelty. "It's nothing personal, Olivia. We want the family to appear harmonious, compatible with his lifestyle. Your job, it might send the wrong message." Wrong message. Right. That's what it had always been. My life, the choices I'd fought for, the degrees I'd earned, the hours spent teaching and mentoring, the nights spent grading papers by the dim light of a lamp, all of it a wrong message. I put the phone down and let the silence settle. I looked around my apartment, a one-bedroom haven I'd carved out for myself over the past 7 years. The mismatched couch, the bookshelves sagging under history tomes and teaching guides, the little kitchen I had to plan meals for because cafeteria prices were too high. This life, this carefully constructed bubble of independence, was exactly what they embarrassed. But they didn't know. What they couldn't see was the folder I'd kept untouched for months on my laptop, labeled simply Grandma Eleanor. Inside was an email from her lawyer confirming something I'd quietly controlled for nearly 2 years, a trust worth over $15 million. I, Olivia Bennett, aged 31, was the sole trustee. My younger sister, Sophia, was the sole beneficiary. Every dollar she had been expecting for her wedding, for her lavish parties, for her carefully curated life of appearances, depended on me. I had kept that secret for 2 years, not because I wanted leverage, far from it. My grandmother had trusted me to teach Sophia a lesson she'd never learned, that value isn't handed out, it's earned. And that, in itself, was powerful. Thanksgiving came and went without me. My phone lit up that evening with a photo from Sophia. The dining table perfectly set, the turkey golden, Andrew smiling as though the world belonged to him. My chair was empty, non-existent in their carefully orchestrated image of family perfection. My mother texted me a rote apology. "It's for the best, sweetheart." I didn't respond. Instead, I made myself a small dinner, reheated turkey slices and instant mashed potatoes, and sat alone in the dim light of my kitchen. I thought about all the times I'd been overlooked, ignored, or minimized. My birthday forgotten, my promotions unmentioned, my presence treated as optional in the family photo, while Sophia's achievements were broadcast like trophies. I thought about the countless financial requests that had become a family tradition, $3,000 for engagement flowers, $2,500 for repairs, all given without thanks or acknowledgement. It was exhausting to exist in a family that measured love in social currency rather than kindness or integrity. And for the first time in years, I felt something unfamiliar. Not sadness, not anger, but a hollow calm. The emptiness left space for clarity. Monday morning, after grading essays on the rise of industrial unions, I finally opened the laptop. I read the trust documents again, confirming everything I already knew. $15 million. My discretion, absolute. My power, total. And for the first time, I considered what it meant to really hold that responsibility. I called Margaret Caldwell, my grandmother's lawyer. Her office, an elegant brownstone in Back Bay, smelled faintly of leather and polished wood, a space where power and precision met seamlessly. Margaret greeted me warmly, calm as ever, and spread the trust documents across her desk. We reviewed Section 4.2 together, my authority as trustee to determine timing, conditions, and amount of distributions. Sole discretion, absolute. No one could challenge my decisions without good cause. You understand what your grandmother intended, Olivia, Margaret said. I study. She wanted you to have the spine to say no and the wisdom to be kind in doing it. She believed in you. I nodded, feeling the weight of those words. It wasn't revenge I sought, that wasn't her lesson, but accountability, recognition, boundaries. I had spent 31 years bending to their whims, apologizing for existing. It was time to exist without apology. The next day, I found myself thinking about the gala, a charity event my grandmother had supported quietly for years. Tickets started at $2,000. Wealthy families, foundations, polished faces, and champagne flowing freely. For 2 years, I had contributed in secret, attending quietly, giving generously, never seeking recognition. This year, I would attend with my name known. I had a VIP badge waiting, a symbol of my commitment, and a reminder that my worth wasn't defined by their approval. When Friday came, the doorbell rang at 4:23 p.m., and I wasn't expecting anyone. But there they were. My mother, Patricia, gliding past my threshold with the practiced entitlement of someone used to command. Sophia followed, her face a perfect mask of polite expectation. My father lingered behind, unsure, silent, always hesitant in moments like these. They had found out. Somehow, the secret I'd kept so carefully was now out, and for the first time, I felt neither fear nor shame. I was ready. They tried to argue, to charm, to manipulate. They assumed my compliance, my acquiescence. Olivia, you don't understand, my mother said, voice even but brittle. This money is for Sophia. It's her future, her security. I looked at her steadily. I understand perfectly. That's why I will do exactly what Grandma Eleanor intended, ensure it's used responsibly. Sophia's eyes narrowed. You can't do this. You don't know what you're doing. You're just a teacher. And in that moment, everything I had absorbed over the years, the subtle humiliations, the dismissals, the constant comparison, crystallized into one unshakable truth. I was not invisible. I was not powerless, and I would no longer allow anyone to treat me as if I were. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't need to. The room held its breath as I stated calmly, I am the trustee. I hold authority over the distributions. You will follow the conditions I set, and you will do so because it is what Grandma intended, not to punish, but to teach responsibility. My mother's composure faltered first, Sophia's mask cracked next, and my father's expression was unreadable, a mixture of surprise and perhaps admiration. I let them leave, feeling no anger, no triumph, just clarity. For the first time, I felt free to walk into the world on my own terms, knowing my worth wasn't defined by anyone else. That evening, I picked up the VIP badge for the gala. For 2 years, I had quietly walked these halls as a shadow, as a donor unseen. Tomorrow, I would walk in fully visible, fully respected, and everyone who ever doubted me would have to see me as I truly was, capable, dignified, and unafraid.
The gala hall sparkled like it had been built from starlight. Crystal chandeliers cast fractured light across polished marble floors, and every corner smelled of roses and champagne. I walked in, my heels clicking softly, my posture deliberate. For the first time in years, I didn't shrink or hang back. I didn't hide. I belonged here, fully present, fully aware of the power I held, and fully ready to assert it. The VIP badge around my neck felt heavy in the best way. It wasn't just plastic, it was a symbol of everything I'd worked for, every slight I'd endured, every time I'd been told I wasn't enough. And tonight, it was my voice that would finally be heard. The crowd buzzed politely, wealthy families exchanging smiles and handshakes that were more armor than warmth. I could feel their glances, curious, assessing. Who was this young woman in the simple emerald dress, walking with calm confidence? No entourage, no name to impress. That was exactly how I wanted them to see me, not as someone seeking attention, not as someone weak, but as someone who mattered. I spotted the organizers near the stage, and they greeted me like royalty. Handshakes, subtle nods of acknowledgement, introductions to influential philanthropists. Every smile, every polite bow was validation I hadn't sought from my family, but was quietly satisfying nonetheless. Then I saw her, Sophia, standing near the dessert table, Andrew at her side, whispering something that made her laugh. That laugh, the one that had haunted me through every family gathering, every comparison, every judgment, sounded different tonight. It didn't pierce me the way it used to. I approached her, calm, measured. I had rehearsed this confrontation in my mind for years, and yet, standing a few feet away, I realized I didn't need rehearsals anymore. I had clarity, and clarity was unstoppable. "Sophia," I said, voice low but firm. She turned, startled. "We need to talk." Andrew's smile faltered slightly, unsure who this woman was, standing like a silent storm at the edge of their curated world. "What do you want, Olivia?" Sophia's tone was sharp, defensive. "This isn't the time." "No, it's exactly the time. Do you remember Grandma Eleanor, the woman who trusted me with something you never expected?" Her eyes narrowed. "You mean the trust?" "Yes," I said, letting the single word hang between us. "All of it. Every decision, every condition, every dollar. I am the trustee. That authority is mine. Not to punish you, not to shame you, but to teach responsibility, to ensure the resources are used wisely, as Grandma intended." Andrew stepped forward, protective, but I didn't flinch. I met his gaze steadily. His wealth, his charm, his confidence, none of it intimidated me. I was untouchable in this moment because my power wasn't money, it was truth, clarity, and the weight of responsibility. Sophia's face paled, her carefully maintained composure cracked. You can't do that. I'm your sister." "Yes, you are my sister, and I love you. But love isn't about indulgence. Love is about guidance, accountability, and honesty. Something you wouldn't understand if everything you ever got was handed to you." The room had started to notice. Conversations faltered, glasses paused midair. Guests turned subtly to watch the family drama unfolding, the quiet teacher asserting control over her own destiny while exposing the entitlement and superficiality of the privileged. I continued, my voice calm but firm.
Andrew, this isn't about you. You can't rewrite what Grandma Eleanor decided, and you don't get to dictate how I exercise that responsibility. Sophia, every time you've asked for money, every time you've taken my presence for granted, every assumption that I would always comply without question, that ends now. Sophia started to cry, a low, shaky sound that only deepened my resolve. But I needed it. You don't understand. I understand perfectly. You needed structure, guidance, discipline, something you never had because everything was given to you without effort. And tonight, you will see why that matters. I handed her a letter, one she couldn't ignore, written clearly, outlining my conditions for the trust, the allocations, the restrictions, the responsibilities. Everything that Grandma Eleanor had intended. Every dollar she assumed was hers without effort now required accountability. Sophia's hands shook as she read. Her eyes darted up to mine, desperate, pleading. And for a fleeting moment, I felt that old tug of guilt, the one that used to dominate every family interaction. But I had grown stronger. That guilt no longer owned me. "This is how love works," I said softly, almost to myself. "It isn't blind. It isn't unconditional in the sense of indulgence. It teaches, it guides, it prepares you for the real world. And you needed this lesson more than you ever realized." The room was silent. Even Andrew had gone pale, realizing this wasn't a confrontation he could charm or buy his way out of. My parents, still at the edge of the crowd, were frozen, unsure how to intervene. Their usual authority had no power here. I held the moral high ground, the legal authority, and the clarity they could never take from me. Then, without another word, I turned and walked toward the stage, letting the murmurs follow me like ripples in a pond. I signed the guest book for the gala, met the organizers, and quietly gave a donation check larger than anything Sophia had ever imagined. I didn't need applause. I didn't need recognition. But I wanted them to see, fully, what it meant to be truly capable, to wield power responsibly, to be confident without arrogance. Later, when I returned home, I sat on my couch, the city lights flickering through the windows. My phone buzzed. Messages from friends, colleagues, former students, people who respected me and believed in me. They had no idea about the drama I'd endured tonight. They didn't need to. I had proven something to the people who mattered most, myself. Sophia's texts came last, short, hesitant, tinged with fear and confusion. I don't know what to say. I understand. I'm sorry." I didn't reply. There was no need. Actions spoke louder than words ever could. And tonight, my actions had rewritten the story I'd been forced to live in for 31 years. The truth is, liberation doesn't always roar. Sometimes it walks quietly into a room and everyone else hears it long after it has passed. Tonight, I walked into my life fully aware, fully responsible, and fully unafraid. I knew this wasn't the end. Family wounds don't heal overnight. But for the first time, I felt like myself, complete, strong, and no longer defined by anyone's narrow vision of what I should be. As I looked at my reflection in the dark window pane, I whispered to myself, "This is my life, my choices, my power, my story." And for the first time, the future felt wide open, like a canvas waiting for the bold strokes of someone who finally understood her own worth. Don't miss the next twist, the next secret, the next story that will keep you on the edge. Subscribe now and join Next Land Stories, because every story deserves to be lived, felt, and shared.